Let's use the timeless tune Greensleeves to give us a musical workout on strings 1 through 4. The song starts on beat 3. 1, 2, It's time to learn some chords. Chords supply the fundamental harmony for all of your favorite songs. Let's start with the G chord. Now the G chord is played on every string of the guitar. Some are fretted and some are open. The low E string is fretted at the 3rd fret by your ring finger. The A string or 5th string is fretted at the 2nd fret with your 2nd finger. And you can use your pinky or your 4th finger for the top string at the 3rd fret. That's quite a stretch. Now the other strings, the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, are played open. So you strum every string from the low string to the high, like so. It takes a while to make those notes sound clear. You have to have pressure put on the notes you're fretting, but not so much that you're muting out the open strings. There is another fingering for this chord. You could use your 2nd finger on the low string, like so, 1st finger on the 5th string, like so, and ring finger on the top string, like so. The second chord we're going to learn is a 5-string chord, and it's known as C. You start by putting your ring finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret. Your 2nd finger goes on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. The G string is played open, that's the 3rd string. And your 1st finger frets the 2nd string at the 1st fret. Finally, the high E is open. You do not play the low E, just play these 5 strings. Now play each string one by one to check for clarity. You want to raise the fingers of your left hand up so they come into the fretboard. That'll help you so you don't mute the other strings. At this point, I'd like you to pause the DVD and practice changing from G to C, playing each chord 4 times, like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strumming down towards the floor. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you come back, we'll learn D. The third chord we're going to learn before we play a song is D. It's a 4-string chord, and you start by playing the 4th string open. You take your 1st finger and fret the second fret of the third string. You take your ring finger, place it on the third fret of the second string, and then your second finger goes on the second fret of the first string. You strum all 4 strings separately. It'll sound clear if you have your fingers raised up and pressing inward. Now we're going to take those 3 chords we just learned and play the song Wild Thing. Wild Thing goes in order: the chord G, and then the chord C, and then D, and then back to C again. But you don't play them once or in that rhythm. The rhythm goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the rhythm for Wild Thing written out in slash notation. The first bar has a quarter note for the G, followed by another quarter note, but that quarter note is held or tied to an eighth note. An eighth note is essentially half a quarter note, so there's 8 eighth notes in a bar. And the second eighth note you change to the C, followed by another quarter note. The second measure is the same rhythm but with different chords: D, D again, tied to an eighth note, and then the C chord with the second eighth note and then a quarter. It's a bit confusing at first, but with practice you'll get it. So very slowly: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 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 4. Now I like using all downstrokes for this song because it gives a more powerful sound. But the choice is really up to you. So why don't you pause the DVD, practice the progression. When you come back, we'll play Wild Thing together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wild Thing. You make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. Wild Thing. Wild Thing. You make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. Wild Thing. Well, now that you have a few chords under your belt, let's finish off the notes in open position. On the A string, the notes are A, B, and C. On the staff, they're going to look a little funny because you need ledger lines to signify those notes. A is the second ledger line below the staff. B is the note below the first ledger line below the staff. And C is on the first ledger line below the staff. On the fretboard, A is the open fifth string. B is the second fret, fretted by the second finger. C is the third fret with third finger, the ring finger. The notes on the low E string are E, F, and G, just like the high E string. But on the staff, they're way below the staff on ledger lines. E is below the third ledger line below the staff. F is right on the third ledger line below the staff. And G is the note below the second ledger line below the staff. On the fretboard, the E is the low string open. The F is the first fret, first finger, and the G is the third fret, third finger. So pause the DVD, practice playing those 6 notes, and memorize their position below the staff. We're going to play a song called Boogie Bass. It's quite challenging because it uses almost every note we've learned so far. It's also in a key signature of G. Now what that means is every F that's in the piece is raised a half a step. But we're lucky as there's only one F in this piece on the first space of the staff. Now normally that would be played on the 4th string and the 3rd fret. So we have to raise that a half step or 1 fret. So it's played on the 4th fret. This song is mostly in 8th notes. I'm going to play it 1 time slow and then 1 time fast. Scarborough Affair is a traditional English folk song in a 3/4 time signature. It's in the key of A minor and uses notes found on the bottom 4 strings. Let's play it together slowly. 1, 2, 3. Let's have some fun with Bach's Minuet in G. This song contains a new note, C sharp. Play that on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. Now first we're going to go through the melody together slowly. Then when we play it up to tempo, I'll play the harmony part while you play the melody. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Next, let's learn a new chord. This is another 5-string chord, and it's called A. We begin by playing the 5th string open. We play the 4th string at the 2nd fret with the 1st finger. I'm playing back towards the nut because I have to squeeze in several more fingers on the 2nd fret. The 2nd finger goes in the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And the 3rd finger gets in there on the same fret on the 2nd string. They're all very close, very tight together. And then the 1st string is played open. So bring all your fingers around and straight down onto the fretboard and play each string one by one. That chord will probably take some practice, so why don't you pause the DVD and work on it before we continue. Now we're going to take 3 chords, D, G, and A, and put them together to play the popular song Twist and Shout. Now if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the rhythm and the chord progression for Twist and Shout. It starts with a D chord. Remember, that's a 4-string chord. The next chord would be G, and the 3rd chord is A. Now very slowly I'll play that rhythm for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now notice that I keep my right hand going down and up in time. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and only striking the strings for the chords when notated. One thing that will help you through a progression like this where the chords are changing rapidly is to play a few strings open. What I mean by that is when you're changing from the D to the G, for instance, on that 2nd 8th note, you can play some open strings on the upstroke while you're changing to the G. And likewise for the A chord. So if you watch my left hand very carefully, very slowly, you'll see what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I know at a slow tempo like this, that sounds kind of awkward and kind of strange. But when I speed it up, listen carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes by so fast that the ear doesn't really hear it, and it also helps you to change from chord to chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shake it up, baby, now.